I cut my lawn yesterday and I'm plagued with dandelions and satch weeds. And at one time I used to sort of cut the centre of the root, pull it out to allow the grass to regrow back over the where it's been choked. But if you leave that amount of root in the ground, more often than not it'll grow again. And the only real way is to get it out and pull the whole thing out. I didn't get it all there. I've tried numerous tools, but none has really been successful. They're a bit of a pain, really. Okay, then you're as tight as me and you want to make one. Fair dues. Get yourself a piece of tube and cut a shape like that on the end. Fairly thick wallet tube. This wants to be 3 or 4 foot long. I'm using what I've got, as I always do. I'm often asked for cutting lists, plans, dimensions. I don't use them. I'm not clever enough to work to plans. I use whatever I've got available, so I'm going to have to extend this somehow, I don't know. But ideally a longer length. So using a hacksaw and a file, get that shape. You can see how long it is. This is quite reasonably thick tube. Would be nice if it's stainless. Save it going rusty. Okay, then drill a hole about so far, right through as a pivot point. That's stage 1. Okay then, well next up we want to get some 1/8 plate or strip, and you want to cut yourself a jaw like that. That's approximately 1 inch by 5 inches, I guess, I don't know. That's going to be a jaw which goes like so. Put some teeth in it. You can do that with your angle grinder. Not critical. Put some teeth in, facing backwards preferably. That'll help weed removing. So you want one of those. You want a couple more strips of 1/8 plate. Shouldn't really do this with the vise, but place it in the vise and put a kink in the end. So take a decent sized hammer. And you want that. Do that on 2 pieces, as this will straddle the side of that, and then that piece will be welded to it. That's stage 2. Okay, well next up we've welded our jaw to our straps and put bolts through, and we use small pieces of tube as spacers the same size as the tube, so that's parallel, and that's the action of the foot arrangement. When you've assembled this, cut yourself a small piece here to stop that coming back too far. What we're aiming for is that this face and this face are parallel. This face and this face are parallel. That way, when it's pushed into the soil, it'll be so much easier going in over the weed. Okay, that's the head operation. I now have got to lengthen this to about 3 or 4 feet. Hopefully you won't have to do that. So all we've got to make now is the injection system. I'll show you how we make that. So that should sort of pretty much demonstrate my tool. Okay? Right then, well, assuming I don't get any interruptions, I'll try and finish this project today. I've got a couple of hours to spare. I've extended the handle of my tool and I've done a slight modification. Careful not to knock me lights out here. Instead of the pieces of tubing between the plates, the little spaces, as you can see I've put a piece of oak. That's far easier to do, and it's much kinder to your footwear. So now all I've got to do is find a way of ejecting a muddy weed from the end, and so to save getting your hands mucky, what I've done is I've welded a nut to a piece of rod. I would have liked the rod longer, but we're working with what we got. And what you've got to check is that the rod will pass the pivot point, which that does look, and that goes up into the tube. And then I'm going to attach that to a piece of lightweight tubing, aluminium tubing. I'll attach that, and that goes up the length of the handle. And on top of the handle I'll have a relatively lightweight spring and a knob, so all you have to do to eject the weed is just tap the handle, and that should pop it out to the end of the jaws. Okay, we'll carry on with that. Okay, well, this is the final part of the project. That's the handle end. That's the handle end of the plunger. And that's the head end of the plunger. And it all works very, very well. I'm very pleased with it.